What is going on, everybody? Nathan King here with Auburn Undercover, the Auburn Undercover podcast. Welcome on into the Postgame Pod here from inside Neville Arena, where it was a tight one tonight for the number one Auburn Tigers, coming off obviously a massive win over Alabama in Tuscaloosa over the weekend. Auburn knew it was going to continue to get everybody's best shot this season. That's obviously been the case all year with Auburn being the number one team in the country, best team in the country. Bruce Pearl knew the talent level. Auburn knew the talent level of this Arkansas squad coming in here tonight, and they made it a scrappy game, made it a defensive game, made it the game they wanted. But ultimately, Auburn is able to pull away down the stretch in just the last few minutes of the game and able to fend off an Arkansas team that was really, really desperate for a signature win on its NCAA tournament resume. Auburn wins tonight in Neville late Wednesday night, 67-60. Riding solo on this post-game pod here, so not going to be as long as some of our other ones, but going to get into the nitty-gritty of what went down tonight inside Neville Arena, where, like I said, I mean, Arkansas came out in this game and they were in it pretty much the whole way. Felt like a two-possession game pretty much all the way through. Arkansas was actually able to take a lead at the end of the game with 3 minutes left. Chad Baker-Mazara had a costly turnover there late in the game. Janelle Davis goes down on the other end. Arkansas led with 3:06 left in the game, but as John Calipari, Arkansas's obviously first-year coach coming over from Kentucky, said after the game, it was Auburn making the plays late. Arkansas was obviously fading down the stretch there in those last few minutes of the game after taking the lead. Auburn proceeded to go 6 of 6 from the foul line in the last 75 seconds of the game. That was absolutely massive. Chad Baker-Mazara makes amends for that turnover. He goes 4 of 4 at the line there at the end. Denver Jones makes 2 of 2 foul shots. And Arkansas missed some shots down the stretch of the game. I believe missed 5 of their last 6 shots from the floor. And so Bruce Pearl said it after the game. The biggest thing for Auburn in this one was, look, it was a cold night offensively. Neither team was able to get it going from the three-point line. Auburn was 4 of 24 from deep in this game, so very similar to that Tennessee game, not able to get it going against Arkansas's length and physicality on the perimeter. Obviously, lots of size when you've got good NBA-type players like Arkansas does, a really talented roster. Auburn just wasn't able to get it going, starting from the first possession of the game where, like they always try to do, they tried to get Miles Kelly going. He wasn't able to get rolling from beyond the arc, and really nobody for Auburn was able to in this game. Arkansas had a decisive advantage attacking on the inside. I don't know, necessarily an advantage because Auburn came back later on in the game. Chaney Johnson and Johni Broome were really big in the second half, but Auburn had problems staying in front of the Razorbacks early on, kind of tightened up on defense, turned into a defensive war down the stretch. But for Arkansas in this game, I mean, you look at what they did in transition, getting Auburn out and kind of getting Auburn uncomfortable with steals and turnovers. Auburn had 12 turnovers in this game and only 11 assists. This has been a team that's top 5 nationally in assist-to-turnover ratio, pretty much been that case all season long. And obviously not used to seeing them be in the negative in that department. That was the case today. And not only that, 10 steals for Arkansas in this game. I would venture to guess 4 or 5 of those were, you could call them unforced errors by Auburn. There were 3 straight at the beginning of this game where Auburn literally threw the ball right to Arkansas, or threw the ball right out of bounds. Just kind of a sloppy performance. That's the word that Bruce Pearl said after the game. He said it was a sloppy performance by his ball club on the offensive end of the floor. But again, the biggest thing was they did not let that affect their defense. Went out and defended really well down the stretch of this game. But the same goes for Arkansas in terms of three-point shooting. Arkansas only made 3 3-pointers in this game. They shoot 3 of 19 from deep. And so, as John Calipari said after the game, I mean, this could have been a much different outcome. And Arkansas got some good looks. Could have been a much different outcome if they were able to just make some of these open shots. Big Z, Arkansas center, goes 0 of 10 from the floor, 0 of 9 from three-point range in this game. Arkansas had some good looks down the stretch. There was an offensive rebound to DJ Wagner where he took an open 3 late in the game when it was back and forth and really, really close. I believe Auburn had a 1-point lead at the time, and that shot didn't go down for him. So turned into a bit of a rock fight there in the second half. And once again, in this type of game, Auburn was able to outlast the opponent here on its home floor. I mentioned Chaney Johnson and Johni Broome. Johni Broome, just kind of run-of-the-mill stat line for him, what we're used to, 16 points, 14 rebounds. Had a double-double pretty quick early in the second half. It is worth noting, I don't have the exact website in front of me, but if you go to Auburn Basketball's website, you'll be able to find it. Immediately after the game, Auburn launched a website for Johni Broome's Player of the Year campaign. So that's something that obviously they've been waiting until it's starting to get here down the stretch of the really important part of the end of the season. Obviously, that's National Player of the Year, not just SEC Player of the Year. He's going to run away with that one, but between him and Duke freshman Cooper Flagg, obviously there's really no competition when it comes to the National Player of the Year race. Auburn launched a campaign on online, a whole website that details, why Johni Broome should win the award. And basically, in a game like this, he was really, really big in the ways that he's always big. Had a good assist, had a couple good assists in this game. Obviously, 14 boards. Bruce Pearl pointed to an offensive rebound he had inside 2 minutes left, where Chaney Johnson misses on the inside and Johni Broome is able to clean it up and score. He likened it to when Johni Broome had an offensive rebound and a putback against Iowa State, obviously there in Maui against a top 5 team in the country. That obviously turned into a game-winning shot. That ended up being the game-winning shot for Auburn in this one, and in this game, or excuse me, against Iowa State, it was the game-winning shot. And in this game, obviously, it was something there at the end when they were really needing offense. They were able to go inside with Broome. Broome was able to clean things up. Chaney Johnson scores 14 points in this game. 12 of those 14 points come in the second half of play, and so he was really able to turn things on when Auburn needed him. And then Chad Baker-Mazara, again, he was able to make amends. He had 13 points in this game. He was able to make amends for that turnover late in the game. Also had a technical foul there. It's a pretty chippy game, at least for most of the first half. Kind of cooled off later, but Big Z for Arkansas had a taunting foul against Chaney Johnson after blocking his shot. And then Chad Baker-Mazara, as he does so often, hits a 3 right before halftime, but gets called for a technical foul. And so on the other end, Arkansas is able to basically make it only a net 1-point play for Auburn instead of a 3-point play because they go down and hit a couple free throws. At the end of the night, though, as I said, 67-60, close game, chippy game, one that Auburn was able to pull out toward the end and kind of fend off a scrappy Arkansas team that was really, really desperate to come in here and win. And as John Calipari said after the game, that's the difference between the number 1 team in the country and, like he said, a team that has Arkansas's record was Arkansas's ability to not make plays down the stretch and Auburn's ability to make those winning plays. Zooming out here, Alabama goes to Missouri and loses that game, so Auburn obviously took the SEC lead, was in sole possession of first place in the SEC after beating the Crimson Tide on Saturday. Now they're 2 games ahead. They're a full 2 games atop the SEC standings. So Auburn will be looking at, obviously, Alabama starts to fall back here. They've now got 3 SEC losses. That ties them with Florida. Auburn's still sitting on top with only 1. Next game for Auburn, this is a 3-game home stretch for the Tigers. Next game is on Saturday against the Georgia Bulldogs, of course, a team that Auburn already beat on the road this season. They're feeling pretty comfortable and confident about that. So they took care of Arkansas. 2 more games now at home during this 3-game home stretch against 2 teams that you've already beaten on the road. And so, on paper, those are games that Auburn should win. But once again, on paper, this was a game where the Tigers were a 15.5-point favorite. And I know they won by 7, but it really was closer than that until the last 30 or 40 seconds of the game where they started hitting free throws. And so Bruce Pearl said he wasn't surprised. He wasn't surprised for Arkansas to have that kind of defensive performance. But it gives Auburn, who's the number 1 team in the country and continues to keep up there with their winning ways atop of the SEC, gives Auburn something to focus on here. Gives them something to work on offensively, as Bruce Pearl said in this game. The 3-point shooting, and he said the effort plays, sloppy. 3-point shooting, you combine that with sloppy turnovers. A lot of unforced turnovers in this game. It's just not becoming of what Auburn has come to expect as an offensive product. But at the end of the day, they make winning plays down the stretch and are able to get a win in front of their home crowd. 67-60, the Tigers take down Arkansas and John Calipari here on Wednesday night. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on a quick edition of the Postgame Pod from Neville Arena. Nathan King, head over to auburnundercover.com. We'll have you guys covered all the way into, I don't even know if it might be Thursday now. It might have already turned over to midnight. We'll have you guys covered all the way into Thursday with more Auburn basketball. I'll have my notebook tomorrow. We'll get more into the SEC standings and get ready for Georgia on Saturday. So keep it locked over there. We'll see you guys soon.